I am super excited to be blessed and honored to be in the space with TL Martin. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. How are you today?
Amazing. Thank you for joining us. So, as we said today, we're talking with TL Martin, Atlanta based romance author and award winning fiction podcast producer, about her powerful book, The 7 Day Itch. She writes at the intersection of romance, emotional depth, and unflinching honesty about Black womanhood, love, and healing. So before we start, we like to start with and we call it a snowball because we're from Baltimore.
Okay.
As a dark romance devotee, because I did see that, what is your favorite dark romance book or writer? And or both.
Oh, I'm going to say dark romance writer. I'm going to say right now, I am really digging the Evelyn Lay. She's like
Okay.
Evelyn that ass down lay. Like so she's dark rom com, and so she was probably one of the first ones that I came across who does what I was calling myself a dark rom com, and then I saw her doing it. I was like, oh, and so I fell in love with her. So her book Shadowed Obsession right now is kind of a really good,
Oh
uh,
yes, that is on my list.
yeah.
That
So
is on
that Shadowed Obsession is really good. Angel M. Shaw is one of my besties actually. And she has a few that I'm like, yeah, between Passion and Revenge, is like right there, is like literally up there. I was like, which one am I about to read right now? Yeah, between Passion and Revenge. I started it and I literally had to stop only because I'm a person that, like, if I'm writing anything, if there's any similarities in your story and mine, I'll
Mhm.
stop just so no one can say like she copied. And so there is something in one of her story, and like I was like, oh, this feels familiar. Let me just stop until I finish my book so I can know for sure that even mistakenly I didn't go back to it. So that's what I'm into right now.
I love that. I'm starting to get into my dark romance because I'm very newly minted in my romance journey. And I started Nima Simone's Huntsman, and I'm
Oh,
ready for her next one. So she's doing like twisted dark fantasy. So like this one, Huntsman was a Snow White retelling, and then the
love.
next one that she's doing is a Cinderella retelling. So I'm ready for that one. I'm like, this
Yeah.
I wouldn't do everything, but I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with
Yes.
it.
Yeah. I got one, like I try to do dark and it's sad. I have a it's a book, it's called The Friends of Fury. So I write in my small town, and Logan Fury was basically supposed to be like the Olivia Pope of my small town. So I started his entire series is supposed to be dark romance. I did the one book in dark romance, straight dark romance, and I was just like, I can't stay here. So that's why I was like, and it was like right after the election, the last
Oh,
election, and I was just like, you know
yep.
what? Not right now. I need joy. And so that's honestly, I haven't finished that series because it's like it was dark and I didn't, and it's one of my top rated books. It's like
I'm about to
literally one
say
of my,
I would be very interested for you to finish because the Fury agency was a trip.
yeah,
I didn't know what was going to happen. I said, "What's about to happen up in this?" Well, in this
yeah,
agency, not the house, but the agency. And I was like, "What the? Oh
yeah, yeah.
Lord!"
Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, I will and the next one will be funny, so that's why I'm like it's motivating me to write it because Haven's story will be a funny dark romance, but
Oh,
like the first it was just the first one took so much out of me. I was like, I can't, not
you
with this
can't
white man in
dwell
his office
there.
right now. I can't. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. So let's talk about your journey to authorship. You are a relationship coach with your husband, but you're also a fiction writer. How does that background inform your character development around love and vulnerability?
So we're former relationship coaches. Actually, yeah, and I will, because people will keep asking us, "Are y'all still coaching?" No, girl, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Sorry to
I
them.
think a lot of the time people would assume that because we were coaches, that like a lot of my stories or backstories are kind of like coming from those experiences and things like that. And I will always say that is extremely unprofessional. So no, none of my stories come from my people that I've worked with or that we've coached, over the years. It's just rather unfortunate that I'll be 43, I'm sorry, 44 on Wednesday. And I've just
Happy
lived a
early
lot of lives.
birthday.
Thank you. I've lived a lot of lives. And so I have been able to, as a marketer, I think what I've been able to do is listen to the people that we've coached, listen to their experiences, and translate that into story. And I think I have a unique perspective as a writer is because I do love to market at the same time. And so being able to take those emotional experiences, that emotional impact, and then be able to turn it into a story,
Yeah.
that's how it's helped me. And then on the back side of that, my husband and I wrote the couples book that we wrote was called Covered. And
Mm.
it's, four basic pillars, that we saw every relationship fall apart on. It was safety, security, trust, and empathy. And safety was like safety to be yourself, safety to have a voice in your marriage, safety from outside influences. It's a safety to make mistakes. Are you secure? Do you have that empathy? Are you still looking for me after 10 years of marriage to know who I am and where I've grown? Right. And
Yeah.
so in all of my stories,
Love that.
it literally carries those themes. Are they being empathetic? Are they secure? Can they establish that trust? Is there empathy there? And so I think if you read my work, if you read Cover, because Covered is like, it starts off with like an anecdotal story. Every chapter is an anecdotal story from my husband's and my marriage. And then, so that's me. Obviously, I'm a storyteller. And then the instructional stuff comes from him. And so if you read that book and you read how I start off, even the storytelling aspect of that book, you'll find the similarities even in my stories, my fiction stories, and how I write. So that's really what informs it. Is really covered safety, security, trust, empathy, and how can we establish that in story along the way.
I love that. That's a lesson in itself. So we're here to talk about the 7 Day Hitch, which Chile. Why name the series Black Wife Effect for those who are not familiar with your work?
Yeah. It was a complete accident. I am a backstory person. So tell me now if you don't want the backstory. But
No, go ahead, because that's what we're here for to explain it.
right. So obviously, so there was a TikTok trend of the Black Wife effect, where it was just showing where the white guy kind of like frumpy looking, and then after a little while with his black woman girl, she like leveled him up.
From
Um, and then for me, there were a few dynamics going on with me at that time. Number one, Takara Martin was my name that I was writing under. I assumed that Takara Martin would get a whole lot of audience because, hey, we had 100,000 followers for Ask the Martins. And naturally, oh, she's writing about love. We going to follow her there. It did not happen. Um, and so what ended up happening was I got a lot of mixed reviews on probably one of my most popular books. This time it's Love. And I didn't, you know, fault my audience. It was for me, it was positioning. And so a lot of the times the positioning of what I was doing, I was getting people who were like, oh my God, this is draining. This is exhausting. So it meant that a contemporary romance audience wasn't reading my books. And so my husband was like, well, why don't you try rom com and then bake the emotion in the rom com aspect? And so that's where the Black Wife Effect came from. It was literally just a title that I used because I wanted to make it popular, and make sure that it was popular. But then the other side of it was I didn't want to write an interracial story and make it be like, oh, she got a white man because a black man wasn't good enough either. And so I had to be very delicate with how I wrote that story and told that story because I'm still black. I'm blackity black. Yes, they say I talk
Yes.
white, but I'm black. And so I never wanted to put a story out that said black men weren't enough.
Yeah.
And so my background, I was raised by a white man, my mom, um, I would try not to like get emotional with this. My mom, my
It's okay.
stepdad met
Yeah.
in church. And I was a baby and he was a frumpy, oaky, vegetarian white man who wore cut off jeans fresh out of the military. And so every time they would meet for Bible study, my mom and like would meet all these different people and they would have come together. It was like a little, back in the day, the living room Bible studies.
Mm-hmm.
And she would always fry chicken for the Bible studies. And he was a vegetarian, so he never ate it. But everybody would always be like, oh my God, Cynthia makes the best fried chicken. And so how he got her to go on a date with him is that he asked her to fry him some chicken. And so this white man who never ate fried chicken in his life tasted my mother's fried chicken and her collard greens. And that is how they got together. They dated for 2 months. And 2 months later, plot twist, she went to jail. She got arrested. And so she got arrested because my mother was a single mom. She was raising me and my brothers, and she adopted my cousin.
Mhm.
And she was on welfare and didn't realize that she wasn't supposed to be also working at the same time. So she was like working and trying to like, she was like doing like a little part time something, and she got arrested. And it was during a time where also they let you do weekends if you had children. And
Yes.
so, in order to make sure that her kids didn't get taken away from her, my dad married her after 2 months of dating her, and then kept us on the weekend so she can go do her time. And so that was like their love story and how it all started. And until he died, like he raised us all, and he was like the man of the community. We were very poor in a very poor neighborhood, but this white man took care of us and like drove the church van and like drove around and picked up all the kids in the neighborhood and like everything. And so
Mhm.
for me, I wanted to tell stories like that, not just
Mhm.
what the social media trend was.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Shout out to your dad. Literally.
Yeah.
So tell us then, now we have gotten to the black wife effect and we're at the end, and now we're in the 7 day hitch. So tell us what it's about for those who don't know what it's about.
It is about first of all, the Black Wife Effect series is about a girlfriend tribe,
Yes.
period. Like the
It really
girlfriends
is. It really
like
is. It's a love
overshadow
story.
the dudes, right? Like those are like my girls. And so um it basically it's the finale of the series where they've all kind of channeled their love in the most unique way. And Charlie is a former spy. She's a black woman. She's a former spy, and she hasn't been home in 10 years. And so she is going home for a funeral after she has just spent some time in Vegas and hanging out with her girlfriends or whatever. And she goes home for a funeral. And what we find is that while she was in Vegas, something happened, and she's getting drips of memories all throughout the time that we're now like her going home to a funeral and going home to the South. And I made her a spy because it was one of the only plausible ways that you could see somebody never going home. You know what I mean? So like if she's always on the road, always doing something, it's like, it's been 10 years she hasn't been home. So like, what girl, what you been doing? And
Mhm.
so if you're lying about your identity, that makes it very plausible that you're not
Mhm.
coming home and you're finding reasons to be away. Um, and so what happens is a guy who has a crush on her, he is down bad for her. It's part of some things that happened in Vegas that she can't quite remember. And he's trying to get to her to be like, hey, girl, some things have happened and I need your help, like getting this situated. But she's like, first of all, I don't even like you like that. So go away.
Mm-mm.
And she is avoiding him the whole time.
She
Well,
does.
because he's rich. My thing is, I'm always gonna add rich people in there, whether they're black or white. I'm adding rich people because it just makes it easier to like get over. Like, let's just throw some rich people in there. Um, but because he's in love with her, as well as needs her help, he's just like, I'm gonna just take a chance and show up on her doorstep and like really just get to the bottom of this and like get her to help me. He shows it to her about her house. He's a white man with red hair and shows it to her family's house in the South in Louisiana. And this is a rich black family and they don't know who she is. And I always tell people like this was the very first scene that came to me before I even started writing the book was he shows up at her doorstep and she puts a gun to his head and
Cause,
makes him get
cause
on his
why'd
knees.
you do that? Cause why did you do that? That was insane. I was like, but also same. Like in my head, all I could think was VP Harris when she said, "I got a Glock."
Thank
I was like,
you.
okay,
I
she
have
got a Glock, and as a family, my family's from Texas. My dad's side's from Texas. We shoot. Everybody
we
in my
shoot
family
him.
carries. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We in the South for
Yeah.
real.
In the South. And it's just and again, she's a spy. I don't Shonda Rhimes once said, I don't write weak women. And I
Mm,
took that as permission. And so for me, every time, like again in Fury's Embrace, part of the reason why I didn't really like that book is because Harper was weak. She was going in and out of being weak in Fury's Embrace. And so for the 7 Day Hitch, I needed to make sure that this black woman was not weak, that she was not someone that needed to be rescued. She is the
yeah.
rescuer. Like he was going to her for help. And so I needed her to be, as soon as you showed up on her doorstep, she's a badass. Like you heard it a little bit
Mhm.
in My Filthy Rich Valentine, But when you show up on her doorstep in the 7 Day Hitch, like I needed it to be known that like Charlie's a badass and you really should not mess with her.
I love that. So let's talk about. We just talked about wealth. Let's talk about class and identity. You have a couple quotes that I want to touch on because you really are hitting on something. Wealth in our world isn't just about comfort; it's about appearances, about keeping up with rich white folks who sip imported champagne and pretend they invented class, while my mother grooms my brother and me like prize ponies. And then you also said, and then you touched on Katrina. For folks who don't realize, it's set in New Orleans. After Katrina, while families were wading through mold and ruin, he was placing bets, baking on poor communities to fail, so he could swoop in and turn them into playgrounds for the white elite. So, for folks who don't know, Xavier is wealthy, but he didn't grow up that way.
Correct.
Charlie did.
Yeah.
Charlie did. There's no mistaking.
Yes.
Uh,
She's a bougie black girl.
Very bouge, very bouge. I would liken it to like if Uncle Nearest prayerfully gets it together, that would be what it would be in the future.
Yeah, that was part of my motivation.
Yeah, and I pray they do because I love
Yeah,
this.
please, Lord. Yeah.
Please, Lord, because we wanted to stay in black hands. How does pressure around class and respectability shape to me what I saw Charlie and Xavier's relationship? Especially, let's bring in to add to that question as well, her childhood love, who also comes from wealth, and is black and is a
And
doctor
it's black.
and it's black
Exactly.
and he
Yeah.
seems fine.
And he's fine. He's gonna get a story. He has to.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel bad for old boy a little bit. He
yeah,
really
he has to get a story.
needs that.
I think so. There's a lot that went into that decision. Number one, I don't like writing black women struggling. I feel like that's just been done, like
Yeah.
overdone. So I didn't want to write her coming from like, a struggling past that she had to climb from out of and he came to rescue her. I wanted to write that showcased. I'll back up like this. When I moved to Atlanta, I'm from California originally. Um,
I was
and
born
I
in
had,
California.
huh?
I was born in California.
What part?
San Bernardino, the Air Force base doesn't even exist anymore, but my parents were in the Air Force. That's why.
Norton Air Force Base. That's literally how my mom met my stepdad, by the way. That's where
Oh,
they were
they
doing
might
Bible
know each
study.
other too.
Girl, they was doing Bible study at Norton Air Force Base.
Well,
Um,
my daddy was not in nobody's Bible study. He should have been.
but I'm just saying, like
Love
literally,
you,
that
Alfred.
is. I grew up in San Bernardino, born and raised, and again,
Wow. I
yeah,
have every time I say that, everybody's like, huh? I was like, dang, okay. It's a place,
exactly.
y'all. It's real.
It
It's
is a
real.
place.
I live
Yes,
not far
girl.
from Joshua Tree. Dang.
It is not far. We grew up with vaqueros and gangbangers, like on the same street. Okay, like,
In that one Walmart.
and, yeah, and the
Yep.
train track.
Anyway.
Anyway, so um, we were talking about the fact that when I lived in California, I didn't have to choose my friends. We
Mm,
just had friends of all walks of life and they came from everywhere. And again, my stepdad being in that number, like all of my friends were like across the board, across the spectrum. And they all had different stories of humanity that still made us connect, right? So when I moved to Georgia, I had to pick my friends. And for me, I think it hurt my feelings a little bit because it was like Georgia very much it made it very clear that you had to choose, you had to be very segregated.
yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you got here. But I missed I missed the aspect of my friendships being together because we got to see so much similarities. Not the folks who saying, I don't think Trump's all bad people. Like I literally had like white friends who like cared about black people. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to show that dynamic of wealth from a black perspective and what that meant for them. And then from a white perspective who didn't have wealth and what that meant for them. And like there's not that much dissimilar.
Mm,
Other than once you get to a certain place of wealth, what does that mean for what you do for your community? What does that mean for how you see your community? What does that do for, the things that you do to reach back? And so for me, I wanted to show them in a different light to then show what class and racism looks like on both sides. But not again do away with what happened to black people during all those things too. Like I needed to show that and I because I do have a diverse audience, I wanted to make sure I did not shy away from showing the black shit that happens at the hands of white people, even while there's a white man in the story. Like, I know you thought you was gonna come here and be safe, but one
Mm-hmm.
of my favorite reviews that I got across, she read the whole series. She was like, they just talked about black stuff too much. You needed to see that. Yeah, I needed y'all to see that. Otherwise, don't come.
Reminds me about the Legend Born conversation. Oh Lord, that happened on Threads recently. Like, what do you mean I'm talking about? Like, I also read everything.
Everything.
But it's crazy to me that like somebody can't see outside of themselves, and then they stay in that realm, and that's sad. And I feel sad for them.
Yeah, very
Yeah, I
sad.
feel sad for them. They're losing out on a lot.
Well,
On
just
a
a
lot.
lot of information. Again, it's a lot of information. I think books can inform a lot of things, and I try to bake social commentary into my comedy now
Mhm.
because I feel like it gives us the opportunity to have deeper conversations where we can laugh around it too.
Speaking of social commentary, then let's shift to Charlie. There's a couple things that I saw myself. I think a lot of women, especially if you are the eldest daughter or just
Hmm.
independent or just everything is on you, about vulnerability. So after all these years of dodging anything that looked remotely like attachment because of the job, because of the risks, because of me, I finally met someone who bypasses all my defenses like he's got the cheat code. And for once, at the worst possible moment, I don't want to let him go. And then also my audacity to love and be loved by anyone I choose that isn't tarnishing the legacy, it's honoring it in the most beautiful, poetic, and petty way possible. So I'm gonna go to the first quote. Charlie is learning that love is really about expansion and not shrinking. Why did you feel it was important to focus on love as growth versus as restriction, especially
Um,
a character like Charlie?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm going through perimenopause, girl. So there was a lot that I was experiencing at the time that I was writing this book.
Screaming. I was like, "What? You hot girl?" For the
Yeah, like first of all,
content.
I got a hot flash happening at this very moment. I'm gonna just be all the way real with you at this very
Feel
moment.
you. Listen, I think I wish
Um,
more women talked about menopause the
it's
same way
it's
everybody prepare you for your period. Nobody prepares you for
it's
menopause.
hell. It's
Shout out
hell.
to Dr. Sharon Malone, because she's like one of the biggest gynecologists who's like gynecologist to the political stars. But she also coaches on menopause a lot and perimenopause, and I learned a
Thank
lot from
you.
her.
Thank
Just
you.
being in her orbit. I'm like, let me take my probiotics now, because girl, I didn't know. I didn't
You
know.
we had no clue. There's so many things my body is falling apart. I'm only 44. So it's like I I was going through a lot of changes, and I'll be honest, my husband was recognizing I was going through changes, and I am that black woman, that independent woman, that strong black woman who also says, I don't need much, or
Hmm.
I used to say, I don't need much. And I think part of that was learned shrinking. It was learned toning myself down. It was learned keeping myself, silent so I can make the men in my life, let's be honest with you, and not, not my husband, but also my husband, but like, but to make men in my life feel great and be great. And so I didn't offend them with that. And I wanted to position Charlie in that light to show that growth that says like, hey woman, hey black woman, you don't have to shrink yourself to be this. And then showing that I've been in relationships, I've been in marriages where I didn't recognize myself because I was shrinking and not allowed to be who I was supposed to be. And so if for Charlie to be a spy, for Charlie to kind of come from that background and be a badass, there was no way I was going to put her in a relationship with someone who did not see her and allow her to be seen for who she wanted to be seen as.
Yeah.
Because that was the big
Yeah,
story
that
where her.
being seen as versus yes, correct.
Yes. And so it was like I needed her to come into a relationship where somebody said, hey, whoever you gonna be
Mhm.
that. So
I love that. I really do. And then there's and I don't want to ruin it for folks. But in the book there is a character that later finds out they're related to like they're like Charlie's family's number one op.
yeah.
Essentially. That's the best way
Yeah.
to describe it. They're number one op. And it's very interesting you structured the story that way. So what was gearing you towards that?
I
Like,
don't know, other than I can say, well, a couple things. It was gonna be something different, and one of my author besties, shout out to Janelle Westenberry, was like, "Bitch, don't do that." And so
oh, it be your friends, child.
it be
Check
your
you all the
friends.
way.
Like, I
Like,
have real friends. I
"Ooh,
have real friends. She was like, "Nope, don't do that." So there was
don't do
that.
don't do
But
that,
I
friend.
also think it was
Log off.
prophetic.
She said log off.
Please. And thankfully that changed.
Mhm.
Um, but then I don't know if you saw, there was like last year, there was a plantation whole big thing that like burned down to the ground in Louisiana.
Yes, I did. Oh, me and my friends still celebrate. We
Girl,
celebrate
like
that
this
day.
book
We
was about to
celebrate the
drop.
Alabama brawl. We throw our hats up randomly at brunch and for fun.
Thank you. Thank you. So that plantation burning down was literally happening right as I was about to put this book out. And it was happen like it was like I was like, it was prophetic. It was prophetic. So it was just like for
The
me,
ancestors are sick.
hmm?
The ancestors are sick.
Thank you. Thank
They're
you.
sick.
I'm like legitimately I think I like to see trends and I like to see the times and I like to see what's happening. And so I wrote that literally seeing trends and that was 100% like a bigger thing.
Yes, I really love that. So let's also talk about this next thing that I really want to highlight, which I think is important when folks are looking for interracial love stories, which is
Yes.
this. Part of his obsession with me, besides the obvious, is learning about me, my culture, my hair. He asks questions during our truth hours like he's studying for a test he doesn't want to fail. From twist outs to soap presses, he wants to know it all. With Xavier being white and Charlie being black, why did you find it important to highlight learning versus fetishizing? And what is the difference for you?
Can I tell you another short backstory?
Yes. No,
Okay.
these backstories are important.
Okay. So number one, you saw how my dad was with my mom. I told you, right?
Yes.
That man bought books to study his woman. He bought books to study black women. He bought books to learn how to do her hair. He bought books to learn how to do her nails. Like my dad spoiled my mom so much to the point to where my marriage now, like I feel like God blessed me with a husband like the way that my mom had. And so that to me, seeing a white man love her that way, and I was the black girl who grew up in the hood, but I talk like this. So
Mhm.
black men really wasn't checking for me when I was coming up. And so I thought, oh, my mom married a white guy and he treated her like that. I should be able to do that too. And so where you had the white man who cared and took care to learn and get to know, you had the white man who was just really obsessed with hip hop and wanted and thought he should have a black woman.
Yes.
So that was my first husband.
Mhm.
And that was the
Oh,
fetishization difference
oh,
to me.
damn.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
Wow.
like that, like once you asked that, I was like, yeah, I got the perfect answer for you. So there's that. And so because I read, I'll be honest with you, I've read interracial romances that felt like trauma porn. And like it was like literally like slave porn. Like I
Yeah.
don't like those things where it's like you're beautiful, black, chocolate skin.
Yeah.
No, like
Yeah. Don't do
mm-mm,
that to me. Don't
ever.
like you sexy milk chocolate goddess. I'm like,
Mm-mm,
ooh, I
mm-mm.
as someone who is marrying a black man but has dated interracially, uh it's very it like ooh, like you can
It's off-putting.
tell if you don't know, like if you don't know, you can slowly start to tell when it's like things that their friends say around you too, and you're like, oh, this is not his norm,
Yep,
nor will it make like ever really will be. And so I need to exit stage left out of this
immediately.
situation immediately because you are being weird and your friends is weird. um
And I don't trust y'all.
so and yeah, I don't trust y'all. Like some, especially somebody say, "Ooh, you must know how to make a mean fried chicken," versus someone knowing I make fried chicken is different. And I'm like, "Ooh, that's weird. That's weird. That's
I
weird."
had one white guy tell me when I first moved here was like, "Oh, you look like you could be a real good time." Sir, this is
Sir, this is not a Wendy's. I don't know
and
what you
then
thought it was.
turned around and was like, "White most white men here won't take you home to their parents, but they will have fun with you." I mean, and he didn't say have fun. Yeah. So and again, so that was my introduction to Georgia men and Georgia white men at that. Like, yeah. I was
Chill.
100, yeah, it was crazy. I was very shocked. So, for me,
Yes. And I
dating
was
white
saying you got
men,
the you got the like what them people call the British whites from them.
Listen, so it was very important to me in all my stories. Like I am not an interracial romance writer on
Mhm.
purpose. It was a complete accident because I have biracial children. I
Yes.
have, now, and so now it became a thing where I just wanted to now write a world where my kids are seeing people who look like them now coming up, in my stories. And
Yeah,
so
I
even
love that.
though the girls in the cockpit chicks don't want kids, but the other thing, I wrote black women who didn't want kids, but it was like still I wanted to create a world where like, okay, these are relationships where people who look like my daughters would come out looking,
Listen,
like
I'm on the fence all the time about these goddamn kids, child. We both say we both are. We're both like, ooh. We be going over to our friend's house. We like, yikes, yikes on
yeah.
bikes. But eventually, I think we're both like, we'll probably do it. I'm like, just give me a dog, dang. But he don't even want to do that.
I mentioned a baby and I got a puppy for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. He's like, the funny thing is, I get a baby before I get a dog.
Oh
So
wow.
that's why I'm like, I'm just gonna get pregnant and then I'm gonna just bring the dog home. And that's gonna be my push gift. And be like, what are you gonna do? You can't tell
You
your
can't say
wife.
no to a pregnant
Yeah, you
lady.
can't say no to me. You can't say no to a pregnant woman. And it's
No.
literally his dad was like, and my father-in-law, Papa Wallace, he was like, yeah. Like honestly, that worked on me a couple times with their mom. Yeah. Like I went and drove like an hour for this ice cream. And then she called me and was like, I also want a cheesesteak. And what am I supposed to do? Tell my wife no? And she's caring about the dog. No, I'm not gonna
Exactly.
tell her no. And
Exactly.
I love that. Like, shout out to him. Also, my father-in-law is a big yearner. He's a big yearner. I see it. I
What?
see it. Yeah, he is. He's a huge yearner. But also, so is his son. I'm like the
Look at
black cat.
there.
I'm like a super black cat. Like I will like he literally is out right now because I'm recording. But also like he knows what I'm about to do. I'm about to take this Kindle and I'm about to go back on the couch and I'm about to go read. And I want to be
I
left
love
alone.
that.
I might play also Animal Crossing. I don't know yet. The night is young. I might also play Township on my iPad. I don't know yet. The night is young. Okay?
I
The night is
love that.
very black cat and he's like very puppy.
I love
Um
you
but
guys. This is awesome.
that's why we mesh. So also I want to talk about we're talking about generational patterns that we're seeing, but also just like the resistance of the healing there. Was that intentional to explore that? Like Xavier's past and Charlie's past and like was that it felt intentional. So just like bringing up like like the freedom to love essentially.
Yeah, it was very intentional. Number one, because I'll be honest with you, because I did um get popular. Interracial romance was not my first romance book,
Mhm.
but like because I got popular off of interracial romance, there was a misconception that I could or that I was doing it just for clout or just for this or just to get popular when it was like the title was to get popular, interracial piece wasn't.
Mhm.
And so for me it was important to explore those themes where it was number one, I feel like I was just trying to make sure I could say it in a way where I wasn't wagging my finger at my audience who had that critique and had that criticism.
Mm.
Black one. Sorry, my husband's bringing my charger in here. And so like with that, it was important for me to address that criticism in an intelligent way without getting on Twitter and or threads and like fighting
Yes,
with my
please
readers.
don't. Mm-mm, don't do
Like
it. You
they
see
lit
the threads.
huh?
I said you see the threads.
I see them and like I'm like, who are these people's friends? Like, why isn't nobody telling y'all to be quiet and
Go
just
to the
log
group
off?
chat, please. My
Like,
God.
just please go to therapy, go to the
Go
group
to the
chat.
group chat.
And so for me, that was my intelligent way of addressing that. But also, the same thing you saw with like Charlie and her mom and everything they were going through. I was dealing with stuff with my own kids. Like, I literally told my husband, at the time when I finished this book, I cried. I was like, if I die tomorrow, make sure my daughters read this book. Like
Oh.
if like that was like I needed them to understand that like even some of the stuff that mothers and daughters deal with and that generationally is because we're trying to protect you from the things that we had to deal with and that were passed down to us. And
Mm.
so I wanted to address that. I wanted to approach it in an intelligent way for, multi-generational families who may be dealing with a lot of that stuff and the stuff that happens. I got disowned by my father when I married a white man. You know what I mean? So it was like these sorts of things have kind of carried throughout, these themes have carried throughout my entire life. And so that was my way of just kind of like, we all trauma dump in our book somewhere. And that was part of it, but it was also just like addressing those themes in an intelligent way.
No, I really like that. And I also want to talk about there's some other as a proclaimed manifester myself, I can definitely see that in our girly pop group. Over the years, whenever we met and talked about our fantasies, something happened. Some kind of magic unlocked, and we ended up meeting the exact men we dreamed of and talked about among each other. How do you believe magical thinking or manifestation work for relationships in life, especially being a former relationship coach?
You want another backstory?
Yes, come on. I feel
Because
like
I
I'm
just
on
feel like
Sesame Street.
my family is full of them. But like, number one, I think Black women are magic. I think Black women deserve magical experiences. I think, we watch the movies like The Hangover and all these different things. Like these are just these fantastical, weird things. Like this shit will never happen in real life, right? Like this could never happen for real.
It really will.
And you never see them call things like that unrealistic
Mm-hmm.
to white people. But when it happens to Black women, like I got the most hate because it's like, oh my God, this could never happen. And so I wanted to show Black women being fantastically loved that way. So that's the start of it. But for me personally, magically, I would say my husband and I, people have always, I don't know if you've ever seen like us, like we have the same gap. We think alike, we talk alike, we act alike. Our kids have all the same initials for the most part. Like, it's just like we're a weird pairing, but like he is my very best friend in the whole world. When we first got married, people kept telling us so much that we act so much alike, we look so much alike. We did an ancestry DNA test. And I know. And I am not, first of all, we ain't brother and sister. Praise Black baby Jesus there.
Thank you, God.
But we do share a bloodline. And so I will say it like that. There is bloodline relativity that we found there. And so I'll stop there because when I told it, people are not smart enough to hear that it is 100 years removed, but there is still bloodline collectivity there.
But a
And
hundred years ago,
well,
that's a,
between the
does that matter?
not to us, but people who are ignorant, yes. And so it was one of those things though, as we started to like just think about my husband's a theologian, so biblically bloodlines, like we were looking at that, and I was just like, I was impressed by how it just, for me, it felt like, because found family is a really big trope in all of my books.
Mm-hmm.
And my family is pieced together all the way around. I've told my husband, like, regardless of how big my family seems, I've never really felt like I belonged. And so I feel like once we all came together, the Martins, and our family, like my family and his, and just kind of like really his family kind of like brought me in to their fold. And they love me like I've never been loved before. And it was just like, he was like, so if we get divorced or not, guess what? These still your family because it's still blood here. Like, and so it was like, because my family has been pieced together all the way around, I just felt like magically our bloodlines came back together to give me and even my kids like the family that we've been missing. So I love the magical aspect of that. I feel like our love story is a little bit magical. And that's kind of why I write the way that I do. People think I'm like, I write like these corny, unrealistic love stories for Black girls, but I'm just like, I kind of am living one. So I like to write them in a way that makes Black girls feel like they deserve that kind of magic.
Well, love is can be seen as unrealistic too. I mean, think about it. Like you go out in the world and you never know you're going to find someone and then you find them and then you decide to make a life with them and that's magic in itself.
It is.
Because literally I just think about my own love story. Now I got my little backstory. I just think about our love story and how I was at the High Point University in North Carolina, and then I transferred my sophomore year into UMD. And if I never did that, and if I would have if I did more or if I did another path and stayed in North Carolina, I would never have met my fiance because we met.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I was a transfer student and we met. He's from Jersey. He's from South Jersey, so I would never have really
Never met him.
frequent South Jersey like that. And then we met each other. And then I was getting out of a terrible breakup. And I think that was also a part of it. Like I didn't take him very seriously at all.
Doesn't it always start like that?
I don't date frat guys. And then next thing you know, here I am about to marry a frat guy. So here we are. Here
Look at
we
that. My
are.
husband was like back in the day, like I want to say he was Derek Jackson, but like he'd be like giving relationship advice and like talking all this stuff about relationships back in the day. I was like, oh, I know your type. I'm not getting with you. Like,
Listen.
no,
Now
absolutely
look
not.
at us. Giving us
Look
the
at us.
permanent ick and then now we're giving them the permanent yum.
Literally, just and for we just hit 10 years last week. So,
Oh, congratulations. So funny enough, we've known each other since 2019. We started dating in 2014.
oh my
But
gosh.
we've really not 2019, what I'm saying. We met in 2000 and what am I saying? 2010. Sorry, y'all. We met in 2010. We got together in 2014. And in through all that, we've broken up, gotten back together, broken up, gotten back together. And now we still here. I was
And now
like,
you're still here. Listen, so me and my husband met in 2010 on Facebook, and so air quote met, married other people. And then same thing, getting out of a bad relationship. Both of us got out of a bad relationship. He moved to Georgia while I was here, and then moved back after he divorced the last chick. And so like, we had never met in person, and so we were going through our thing, and then it was like maybe 2 3 months of us just deciding that, oh, maybe I think you like you, I think I like you, I think I might like you too. Still never met in person. He proposed and was just like, you should let me cover you. That's kind of why our first book is called Covered. The second book that we did together is called Covered because that's how he proposed. He was like, you don't have a covering, you should let me cover you. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, basically, I want to be your husband.
I
So,
want to be
and
your man for life,
right,
girl.
right. And then like a week later, we met in person. Like,
I love that. He said, I ain't playing around. Let's get to
he
it.
is not, and I was not going to get married. He made me marry him. So I don't want to get married again. I was dead
I feel it.
serious.
I understand. After the first one, you're like, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. So
I'm getting, yeah. So when someone finishes the 7 day itch, what do you hope they're thinking about? And what conversation do you hope it will spark?
there are a lot of conversations. I think number one, your Black women friendships are important, and you should number one, or your female friendships. I don't say Black women, but like for me, my Black female friendships have carried me through some hard times, and so I want that to come, at the forefront. Love does not begin and end with a man. It starts with yourself. Starts with loving yourself, finding out who you are, discovering that, and unapologetically being that. And then finding a tribe that supports that. So I really hope that they come away with that, and really thinking about that. And then again, love doesn't mean shrinking. Love means being accepted, being received. And, the way Xavier takes his time to make sure that he says, like, whoever you are, I'm going to be that for you. And
Mm-hmm.
forget about everybody else. Like, this is, you're mine. I think finding love that exposes that for you, that exposes the worth in you that says, "Hey, I deserve to be loved like this." So, whoever it's from, whether it's your girlfriends or that man, I want y'all to walk away knowing that you do deserve that.
I love that. Okay, we're going to do a little rapid fire. All right. Just think the first thing that comes to your head.
Okay.
What book changed your life as a reader?
Maybe you should talk to someone, by Dr. Lori Gottlieb. That was the book. She's a therapist, and she wrote a book basically about her, a few of her patients, and like all of them were going through different phases, different journeys of life. And so she basically had these fictional but real patients and it was like a real life story. But she was like telling these, and it was for me listening to the deeply human experiences of all these people, including herself, what she was going through at the time. It made me think about therapy differently. I had never seen someone write a book that wasn't self help, that made me actually want to go through therapy. And it's honestly, it helped me shape how and why from a majority of my books, you're going to have a therapist in that story somewhere. Majority of my books, there are going to be people who are going through therapy, getting help, getting healed somewhere, because I saw how you could do it in a story and actually have it make impact. So, yeah.
Okay. If the 7 Day Hitch were a playlist, what would be the opening track?
Steady Love by India Ari.
Period.
Yeah.
One thing you'll tell your younger self, one thing you'd tell your younger self about love.
Wait.
Ooh.
Wait for the right one. Yeah. Yeah.
What are you working on next?
So I'm getting ready to drop Captured by the Canadians.
Yes.
And so me and my husband, so first of all, it's about a black girl who is an overworked, overhyped tech nerd who decides to take a road trip to Canada for a romance conference. Like, she is a thug, so she's just like, I don't cry, I don't do this girly stuff, but I'm gonna go to this romance conference because it's my one guilty pleasure. She is a spinoff from the Black Wife Effect series, so you meet her in the Black Wife Effect, and you also meet her in my holiday rom-com, Nutmeg and Mistletoe. But she is now just like, off and doing her own thing, and she gets stranded on the side of the road, and of course she manifested her lumberjack man, to rescue her on the side of the road. And that is kind of like starts off a week-long journey of them just like, being together. And it's one of those things where it's like, he was like, all right, I need your help with the business thing, because of course, I'm always gonna write business stuff. I need your help with business stuff. And she's like, cool, I need help relaxing and learning how to soften and settle down. And so he helps her do that. And because my husband has randomly discovered that women love his voice, he will be narrating that book. And so we're actually working on him narrating for the male lead. And we just contracted the female lead for
I
that. So,
love that. Yes.
yeah.
Period. Okay, so where can the folks find your work and connect with you?
I'll t- my name is hard to spell, but it's you'll put it in in the description. Takara
I
the
will.
Creator everywhere, because Tyler the Creator is kind of like my spirit animal. So Takara the Creator everywhere, and then all my work, things about me can be found at TL Martin Writes. If you get on there and join my mailing list, I write in a small town called Cinnamon Grove. And so Cinnamon Grove is basically like I'm building out, think of like Shonda Rhimes, Dick Wolf type land and experience with all my stuff. And so you join my mailing list, you'll get access to kind of see all the things that happen in my small town, Cinnamon Grove.
I love that. And are you going to be at any events this year or anything like that?
Potentially. I'm looking probably towards the end of the year, because I am kind of building out my virtual world, just kind of like it's part of my business plan of just being a full-time indie author and making sure that like my work is working for me. So probably towards the end of the year, I'm looking at some stuff, but I just don't know when yet.
All right. Well, I love that. I really do. So, with that, remember, guys, The 7 Day Itch is by T.L. Martin, and it is a romance that refuses to sanitize emotion or compromise complexity. Complexity. Oh my God, guys, I cannot speak today. It is a love story that demands its characters to grow, a family saga that honors legacy while reimagining it, and a portrait of what happens when you refuse to shrink. If you love romance with depth, characters with shadows, and stories that make you feel seen, this is absolutely for you. And thank you for being here, T.L. Martin. And thank you for listening to But Make It Books, because we're trying to bookishly heal y'all. And with that, I'm going to say thank you again.
Thank you.
And with that, y'all, I'll see y'all next time. You go and keep reading, but make sure you make it books. Peace, y'all.